He said you were the only man scary enough to make them let her go. The words hang in the cold evening air like smoke that won't dissipate. Min-jin Kim freezes mid-step on the sidewalk, his polished shoes catching the reflection of neon signs bleeding red and blue across wet pavement. His men tense immediately, hands moving toward concealed weapons, because children don't approach Min-jin Kim. Children don't know his name. Children don't survive knowing his name. But this one does. The boy is small, shaking, tears cutting tracks through the dirt on his face. His blue shirt is wrinkled, too thin for the bite in the November air. In his trembling hand, crumpled and damp, is a $10 bill. "I'm sorry I don't have more," the child whispers, his voice cracking. "This is all I have. But Mom said you could find her." Pedestrians scatter like startled birds. Traffic hums in the distance. Somewhere, a car door slams. But Min-jin Kim, the man whose reputation carved fear into every dark corner of this city, kneels down on the cold concrete. His men exchange glances. This breaks every rule they know. "Who told you my name?" Min-jin's voice is low, controlled, but something shifts behind his eyes. The boy named Brian looks up at him with desperate, exhausted hope. "My mom, Susan. She's been gone 2 days. The police won't help. She said if anything bad happened, find you. She said you're the only one they'd be afraid of." If you're still with us and this story has grabbed hold of something inside your chest, take a moment to subscribe to our channel, to like and share this video so we can keep bringing you stories that matter, stories that breathe, stories that refuse to look away. And if it isn't too much to ask, will you tell us where you're listening from? Drop a comment below and let us know which city, which corner of the world this story has reached tonight. Every comment reminds us why we do this. Min-jin takes the $10, studies it. This isn't charity. In the boy's mind, this is payment, a contract, an exchange that binds them in a way the criminal underworld would understand. And that's when Min-jin Kim realizes something that makes his blood run colder than the November wind. A mother doesn't tell her child to find a monster unless she's already met something worse. "How long has she been gone?" he asks. Brian's answer will change everything. Brian's answer comes in fragments, like he's been rehearsing it for 2 days, but still can't believe he's saying it out loud. "She left for work Thursday night. The office buildings downtown, the ones near the financial district. She always calls me at 9:30, right before I go to bed. Always." His voice cracks. "She didn't call Thursday or Friday." Min-jin listens, his expression unreadable, but something shifts in his posture. He gestures to his men. They step back, creating a perimeter, but giving space. The street continues its rhythm around them, oblivious. "What did you do?" Min-jin asks quietly. "I waited. I ate cereal with water because we were out of milk. I slept by the door in case she came home and forgot her keys. I thought maybe she was working a double shift, or maybe her phone died, or maybe—" He stops, swallows hard. "But Mom always finds a way. She always calls. Even when we didn't have money for the phone bill, she'd use the office phone. She never missed." Min-jin sees it now, the exhaustion carved into a 7-year-old's face, the dirt under his fingernails, the wrinkled clothes worn for days. This boy has been surviving alone, clinging to hope that's been rotting into fear. "When did she tell you about me?" Min-jun's voice is softer now, almost careful. Brian looks up, his eyes glassy. "A few months ago. We were walking home from the corner store, and she got real serious. She said, 'Brian, if anything ever happens to me, if I ever don't come home, find Min-jin Kim. Tell him I sent you.' I asked why. And she just said you were someone who kept his word. The words land like a punch. Min Jun Kim, a name that makes grown men sweat, known to a cleaning woman and her child, not as a threat, as protection. "Where does your mom work?" Min Jun asks quietly. "The Meridian Towers." She finishes at midnight, walks to the parking garage on 5th. She always texts me when she gets to the car. Min Jun's jaw tightens. 5th Street, business district, late night. The pieces slot together with sickening clarity. Susan didn't vanish randomly. Someone took her, and if she worked nights in those buildings, she saw something, heard something, became inconvenient. This isn't a missing persons case. This is a silencing, and whoever ordered it just made their first mistake. They gave a desperate mother time to tell her son exactly where to go for help. Min Jun stands slowly, the $10 bill still in his hand. His mind runs through calculations that have kept him alive for 15 years in a world where hesitation gets you buried. Rule 1, never get involved in civilian problems. They bring attention, police attention, federal attention, the kind that unravels empires. Rule 2, keep your circle tight. Trust no one outside the organization, especially not strangers. Especially not children. Rule 3. Emotions are leverage. The moment someone knows what you care about, you're already compromised. He built his reputation on these rules, clawed his way up from nothing, an immigrant kid who learned early that power isn't given, it's taken. He became untouchable by being unreachable. No attachments, no exceptions, no mercy for those who mistake him for something he's not. And now, a 7-year-old boy is asking him to break every single one. "Boss," his second-in-command, Jin, steps closer, voice low. "This isn't our problem. We don't do missing persons. We don't do rescues. This is not our business," Min Jun finishes. He knows. He's already thinking it. Brian's small voice cuts through. "But I paid you." Both men look down at him. "I gave you money," Brian continues, his chin trembling but his eyes fierce. "That means you help me. That's how it works, right? You pay someone, they do the job." Jin nearly laughs, but something in the boy's face stops him, because Brian isn't begging anymore. He's holding Min Jun to a transaction. In his mind, that crumpled $10 isn't charity. It's a contract, a deal made in good faith. And breaking deals, even with children, has consequences. Min Jun kneels again, eye level with Brian. "Kid, listen to me. What you're asking, it's dangerous. It's not something I usually... If you don't help, who will?" The question hangs in the cold air between them. "The police won't listen. My neighbors are scared. I don't have anyone else." Brian's tears flow freely now, but he doesn't look away. "Mom said you keep your word. She said you're scary, but you're not a liar. Was she wrong?" Min Jun feels something crack inside him, something he thought he'd buried years ago beneath blood and survival and the weight of his own reputation. Because Brian is right. If he walks away now, who does this boy have? What does that make him? He spent 15 years becoming a man people fear. He's done things that would make demons flinch. He's broken bones, ruined lives, and slept soundly afterward because that's the world he chose. But there's one line he never crossed, one rule that runs deeper than strategy or survival. He doesn't hurt kids. He doesn't ignore kids. And ignoring Brian now, taking his money and walking away, would hurt him worse than any fist ever could. Jin sees the decision before Min Jun speaks. "Boss, you're really going to—" "Yes." Min Jun straightens, tucks the $10 into his coat pocket, and looks down at Brian. The boy is exhausted, terrified, and still standing, still hoping, still trusting a monster to be better than the world expects. Min Jun has made a career out of being exactly what people fear. Maybe tonight he can try being what one person needs. "Get in the car, kid." The SUV cuts through downtown traffic like a blade. Brian sits in the back seat, dwarfed by leather and tinted windows, while Min-jun makes calls in rapid Korean. His tone is clipped, precise, the voice of a man who doesn't ask twice. By the time they reach Min-jun's operations hub, a nondescript building above a closed restaurant, his crew is already moving. Surveillance from Meridian Towers, Thursday through Saturday, Min-jun orders as he walks through the door. Parking garage on 5th. Pull everything. I want timestamps, license plates, faces. His tech specialist, a wiry man named David, is already typing. Building security's cooperating? They will be. Min-jun's tone leaves no room for debate. Brian hovers near the wall, watching these dangerous men work with terrifying efficiency. Phones ring, laptops glow, names are exchanged in hushed Korean and English. Within 30 minutes, footage flickers across 3 monitors. David freezes a frame. There. Thursday, 11:47 p.m. The image shows Susan exiting the Meridian Towers service entrance, her cleaning cart ahead of her. She looks tired but unhurried. Normal. Keep going, Min-jun says. The footage jumps to the parking garage. Susan walks toward her car, a beat-up sedan in the corner. Then she stops. Turns. The camera angle shifts, and what she sees makes Min-jun's blood freeze. 2 men, a third in a black Mercedes, the trunk open. Inside, long, rectangular cases. Unmistakable. Weapons, Jin mutters. She saw a goddamn arms deal. David enhances the image, zooms on faces. One of the men is known to them, a mid-level trafficker named Leo Won, someone who operates in the margins, careful not to step on bigger players' toes. Except this isn't the margins anymore. This is Min-jun's territory. She wasn't supposed to be there, David says quietly. Wrong place, wrong time. Min-jun watches Susan's face on the screen. She tries to back away, but it's too late. Leo's associate spots her. Words are exchanged, then hands grab her, pull her toward the Mercedes. The footage cuts. They took her to shut her up, Jin says. Standard play. But Min-jun's mind is already 3 steps ahead. He pulls up reports from the last 6 months, missing persons, unsolved cases, patterns nobody else connected. His stomach turns. David, cross-reference missing women, cleaning staff, service workers, anyone working late-night downtown shifts. The screen populates with faces. 4 women. All disappeared within 3 months. All worked buildings near the financial district. All last seen near the same parking structures. Susan isn't the first. She's the latest. They're cleaning up witnesses, Min-jun says, his voice like ice. Running weapons through our territory and eliminating anyone who sees. Jin's expression darkens. Leo Won doesn't have the backbone for this. Someone's backing him. Min-jun's phone buzzes, a text from a contact embedded in the Port Authority. 2 words, then an address. She's alive. Warehouse, Pier 17. He shows Jin the screen. His second-in-command nods once, already mentally assembling the crew. Min-jun looks at Brian, still pressed against the wall, trying to process everything he's hearing. Your mom saw something she wasn't supposed to, but she's alive, and we're going to get her back. Brian's eyes fill with desperate hope. You promise? Min-jun has broken many promises in his life. This won't be one of them. I promise. The room fills with men who've bled together, fought together, survived together. Min-jun's inner circle, 8 veterans of a world where loyalty is currency and hesitation is death. They gather around a steel table in the back room, faces hard, eyes sharp. Jin spreads a blueprint across the surface. Pier 17, old shipping warehouse, abandoned for 2 years, perfect place to stash someone you don't want found. Security? Min-jun asks. At least 6 guards outside, unknown inside. Leo Won's crew, plus whoever's bankrolling this operation. Jin taps the diagram. 2 entry points, front loading dock and side maintenance door. Cameras here, here, and here. David pulls up thermal imaging on his laptop. Heat signatures confirm multiple occupants. Ground floor, northwest corner. That's where they're keeping them. Them? One of the men asks. 4 women, Min-jun says flatly. Susan's not alone. The room goes quiet. What started as a favor for a desperate child has become something bigger. This isn't just about one missing mother anymore. This is about men operating in Minjun's territory, trafficking weapons, disappearing witnesses, and assuming he'd never notice. They assumed wrong. Rules of engagement? Jin asks, though he already knows the answer. We go in quiet, neutralize the guards, extract the women. Anyone who resists, Minjun's pause says everything. We handle it. His men nod. They've done this before. Different targets, different reasons, but the execution is the same. Clinical, efficient, final. One more thing, Minjun adds. No one dies in front of the women, and the kid doesn't hear about what happens after. Understanding passes through the room. Some violence is necessary, some is merciful, and some is simply justice delivered in the only language certain men understand. Across town, Brian sits in a vinyl booth at an all-night diner, a plate of untouched fries in front of him. A young woman named Maya, one of Minjun's associates, sits 2 booths away, eyes on the door, phone in hand. She looks like a college student. She's anything but. Minjun slides into the booth across from Brian. The boy looks up, exhausted hope still burning in his eyes. We found her, Minjun says simply. Brian's breath catches. Is she... She's alive. We're getting her out tonight. Can I come? No. Minjun's voice is gentle but firm. You stay here with Maya. She'll keep you safe. And when I come back, your mom will be with me. Brian's lip trembles. You promise? Minjun reaches across the table, places his hand over Brian's small one. Your mom will see you again. I give you my word. It's a promise that will cost blood. Minjun knows this. Leo Wan has backers, people who won't forgive an attack on their operation. This rescue will ignite a conflict that could burn for months. Territories will be challenged, alliances will fracture, men will die. But as Minjun looks at this exhausted 7-year-old who trusted a monster with 10 crumpled dollars, he realizes some wars are worth starting. He stands, adjusts his coat, and walks out into the night. Outside, engines rumbled to life, 3 black SUVs idling in formation. His men load weapons with practiced efficiency. Suppressors twisted onto barrels, magazines checked, safeties confirmed. Jin catches his eye through the window, nods once. Minjun climbs into the lead vehicle. The war he didn't want, but will finish, has begun. Pier 17 sits at the edge of the industrial waterfront, where the city's lights fade into darkness, and the only sound is water lapping against rotted wood. The warehouse looms like a tombstone, 3 stories of rusted metal and broken windows, abandoned by legitimate business, but perfect for the kind of work that happens when no one's watching. 3 black SUVs kill their engines 2 blocks away. Minjun's team moves on foot, shadows flowing between shipping containers and stacked pallets. No headlights, no radios, only hand signals and the kind of coordination that comes from years of operating in the spaces between law and chaos. Jin leads the perimeter team, 4 men who fan out to neutralize the exterior guards. Minjun takes point on the main entry with 3 others. The plan is surgical. Silent takedowns, secure the hostages, extract before anyone inside realizes the walls are closing in. The first guard never sees them coming. He's leaning against the warehouse's east corner, cigarette glowing in the dark, when Jin's arm wraps around his throat from behind. No noise, no struggle, just a body lowered silently to the ground. 2 more guards at the loading dock. Minjun's men move like predators, quick, efficient, brutal. Suppressed shots whisper through the night air. Bodies drop. The entrance is clear. Minjun checks his watch. 90 seconds since they arrived. Right on schedule. They breach the side maintenance door with a tension wrench and pick. No explosives, no alarms. The interior is exactly what the blueprints promised. A vast open floor littered with old equipment, rusted scaffolding, and the smell of decay. Overhead lights flicker in the distance, illuminating the northwest corner where thermal imaging showed life signs. Voices carry across the empty space. Male. Casual. Unaware. Minjun's team splits. 2 men circle wide to cut off escape routes, while he and Jin move directly toward the source. They pass stacks of crates, discarded machinery, evidence of the weapons operation that's been running through his territory without permission. He'll deal with that later. The office is a prefab structure built against the far wall, light bleeding through grimy windows. Inside, 2 men play cards. A third watches a small TV. None of them are watching the door. Min Jun doesn't knock. The door kicks open, 3 suppressed shots. The card players collapse. The man by the TV reaches for a weapon, but Jin is already there, hand clamping over his mouth, blade finishing what needs finishing. Silence returns. Behind a second door, this one locked with a deadbolt, comes the sound of breathing. Frightened breathing. "Susan Parker," Min Jun calls through the metal. "Your son sent me." A gasp. Then a woman's voice, shaking. "Brian? Is Brian okay?" "He's safe. He's waiting for you. Step back from the door." One kick and the lock shatters. 4 women huddle in the darkness of what used to be a storage closet. Susan is closest to the door, thinner than her photo, a bruise darkening her left cheek, her wrist wrapped in dirty cloth, but alive. Her eyes find Min Jun's, and something between hope and disbelief flickers across her face. "You're really here," she whispers. "We're really here." Min Jun steps aside, lets his men enter with blankets and water. "Can you walk?" "Yes." Susan's voice strengthens. She looks at the other women. A young Latina woman who can't be older than 25, an older Asian woman with terror still carved into her features, a black woman whose hands won't stop shaking. "What about them?" "Everyone comes with us," Min Jun says. "No one gets left behind." Jin appears in the doorway. "Building's clear, but we've got company incoming. 2 vehicles, 3 minutes out." Min Jun nods. They knew this might happen. Leo's people checking in, or worse, his backers coming to clean up loose ends. "Move now." His voice is command, not suggestion. His men guide the women toward the exit, Suvin supported between 2 of them. Min Jun and Jin stay back, covering their retreat. They can hear engines now, growing closer, the sound of men who don't know they're already too late. The women are loaded into the SUVs when headlights sweep across the warehouse entrance. 2 cars, 6 men, armed. But Min Jun's team is already gone, melting back into the industrial maze of the waterfront, taillights disappearing into the night before the new arrivals even reach the warehouse door. By the time they find the bodies and the empty room, by the time they realize what's been taken from them, Min Jun Kim is already 5 miles away with 4 women who were supposed to disappear forever. In the back of the lead SUV, Susan stares out the window at the passing city lights, tears streaming silently down her face. "Where's my son?" she asks quietly. Min Jun meets her eyes in the rearview mirror. 3 blocks from here, in a diner, eating cold French fries and refusing to sleep until I bring you home. Susan covers her mouth with her hand, her whole body shaking with sobs she's been holding back for 2 days. "Thank you," she manages between breaths. "Thank you." Min Jun says nothing. There's nothing to say. He made a promise to a 7-year-old boy with $10 and more courage than most grown men he's known. Tonight, he keeps that promise. The streets are quiet as they drive through the pre-dawn darkness towards a diner where a child waits for his world to be made whole again. Behind them, at Pier 17, men are discovering that some operations have consequences, and some territories are protected by more than just reputation. The diner's fluorescent lights hum softly, casting everything in warm, tired yellow. Brian hasn't moved from the booth in 3 hours. The fries are cold, the soda is flat. Maya has offered him food, comfort, distraction, but he just stares at the door, waiting. At 3:47 a.m., the bell above the entrance chimes. Min Jun walks in first, his coat dusted with warehouse grime, his expression unreadable. Brian's heart leaps into his throat. He slides out of the booth, legs unsteady, eyes searching desperately for what comes next. Then the door opens again. Susan. She's thinner than Brian remembers. There's a bruise on her cheek, her wrist wrapped in gauze. Her cleaning uniform is torn at the sleeve. But her eyes find her son immediately, and the sound that comes out of her is half sob, half prayer. "Brian!" He runs. She drops to her knees just in time to catch him, arms wrapping around him so tightly it's like she's trying to fuse them together. Brian buries his face in her shoulder and cries, deep, shaking sobs that release 2 days of terror, exhaustion, and hope stretched so thin it nearly broke him. "I'm here, baby. I'm here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Susan's voice cracks as she rocks him, her own tears falling into his hair. "You were so brave. You were so brave." "I thought they'd killed you," Brian chokes out between sobs. "I thought you weren't coming back." "I'm here now, I promise. I'm not going anywhere." The diner staff pretend not to watch. Maya quietly slips out the back. Minjun stands near the counter, a ghost in an expensive coat, allowing them this moment without his shadow falling across it. But Brian looks up, still clinging to his mother, and sees him. "Mom, he found you. He kept his promise." Susan follows her son's gaze, her tear-streaked face meeting Minjun's eyes. There's gratitude there, yes, but also understanding. She knows what men like Minjun are capable of. She knows what it costs to get her back. "Thank you," she whispers. Minjun nods once, then reaches into his coat and pulls out the crumpled $10 bill. He walks over, kneels down beside them, and places it gently in Brian's hand. "You paid me for a job. Job's done. We're square." Brian stares at the bill, then up at Minjun. His small voice is filled with wonder and confusion. "Does this mean you're a good guy?" Minjun's expression softens, just for a moment, just for this child, who offered everything to save his mother. "Tonight," he said, "I tried to be." He stands, adjusts his coat, and turns toward the door. Behind him, Susan pulls Brian close again, pressing her lips to his forehead, whispering promises and love into the space between heartbeats. As Minjun steps out into the pre-dawn darkness, he glances back through the diner window one last time. Mother and son sit together in the booth now, hands clasped across the table, foreheads touching. 2 people who were torn apart, now whole again. The bell chimes as the door closes, and for the first time in years, Minjun Kim walks away from something without regret. 5 years pass like pages turning in a book nobody expected to have a happy ending. Susan and Brian moved 3 states away, a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood where nobody knows their story. She finds work at a hospital, day shift this time, benefits and stability. Brian grows taller, his blue shirt replaced by middle school hoodies and sneakers that wear out too fast. He plays soccer. He gets decent grades. He laughs again. They never speak about that November night, but it lives in both of them, a memory pressed between their ribs like a photograph they can't quite forget. Every year, on the anniversary of Susan's rescue, an envelope arrives. No return address, postmarked from different cities each time: Los Angeles, Seattle, Chicago, New York. Inside, tucked between plain white paper, is a $10 bill. Sometimes crisp and new, sometimes worn and wrinkled, like it's traveled through 100 hands before finding theirs. And always, a note in clean, precise handwriting. For the next kid who needs help. The first time it arrived, Susan cried. Brian asked if they should send it back. She shook her head, folded it carefully, and placed it in a shoebox under her bed alongside the others that would come. By the 5th year, there are 5 $10 bills, $50 total, a small fortune to a 7-year-old boy who once thought it could buy salvation. A reminder to a 13-year-old that some debts can never truly be repaid, only honored. Across the country, in a penthouse office overlooking a city that never stops moving, Minjun Kim sits alone. The wars came, as he knew they would. Territories shifted, alliances fractured and reformed. Men who thought they could challenge him learned otherwise. The criminal underworld is a living thing, always hungry, always testing, always waiting for weakness. But he's still standing. On his desk, beneath a glass paperweight, is a photograph he keeps face down. He doesn't need to look at it to remember. A diner at dawn, a mother and son reunited, relief carved into their exhausted faces. Beside it, a stack of envelopes, returned mail. Every year he sends that $10, and every year it's kept. He doesn't expect them to send it back. He doesn't want them to. The money isn't about repayment. It's a reminder. Power means nothing without purpose. Empires built on fear are hollow unless they protect something worth preserving. And sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is kneel down and listen when a child speaks. Min Jun has done terrible things. He will do terrible things again. That's the world he chose, the life he leads. But on one November night, when a small boy in a wrinkled blue shirt offered him everything and asked for hope, he became something more than what he was. Not a hero, never that. But maybe for one terrified child, he became enough. He picks up his pen, writes the same message he writes every year, and seals it in an envelope. Tomorrow, it will be mailed. And somewhere, a boy who once paid $10 to save his mother will remember that courage can come from the smallest hands, and that even monsters can choose mercy when it matters most. The brave little boy paid a kingpin $10 and spoke words that shattered him. And in return, Min Jun Kim gave him back his world.